When someone asks me, why do Black Lives Matter but not all lives, I simply respond that they have it completely backwards. No one said all lives don't matter, but there's a clear racial injustice in America when it comes to Black lives. What is Black Lives Matter? Black Lives Matter is an organization that is fighting for the injustice in America simply by protesting, putting out ads, statements, just anything to get the word across about the injustice in America. African Americans are literally a target for police. And when I say that, I mean that police racially profile Black people. They handle nonviolent situations in a very violent way. In a lifetime, meaning about 85 years, 21,000 people, Black people, are killed by police in America alone. I'm going to give you two examples. The first is George Floyd. He was an unarmed Black man who was shopping at a store. The clerk had said that his money was fake, so they called the police. Instead of just saying your money's fake, you can't shop here, they called the police on George. He was arrested right away, no questioning. They didn't ever check and see if the bills were fake until after, and they beat him up before putting him in the police car. They took him out of the police car, and the white officer put his knee on his neck for over 9 minutes. This caused George to suffocate and die, but while he was in this chokehold, he was pleading for his life, saying he couldn't breathe and that he was gonna die. There were 3 other police officers at the scene, and none of them tried to help. It is never written in police handbooks that chokehold is okay. It's actually highly illegal because it can kill someone, and you want your suspect alive, whether they did something or not. It turned out that the money was real and that the clerk, they don't know why the clerk did it. Also, people like to say he was on drugs. Well, police officers are literally trained to handle people on drugs, people with guns, people with anything. But the fact this unarmed Black man died for no reason is ridiculous. Another case is a woman, Breonna Taylor. She lives in Kentucky. She was an EMT, and ununiformed police officers broke into her house, and she got scared. Her boyfriend woke up, and he has a license to carry. He has a licensed gun to his name. When he asked the police who's there multiple times, no one answered. The police never addressed themselves as being police, and clearly we're not in police uniforms, so obviously he got scared. He said, I'm gonna shoot you multiple times, and they still didn't say anything. So when he shot at them, they shot back, which killed his girlfriend, Breonna Taylor. In this case, they tried to flip it around and put it on the boyfriend, saying that the boyfriend shouldn't have shot first. But they literally broke into his house, didn't address themselves, didn't say why they were there. In this case, unfortunately, Breonna Taylor did pass, and the only current charge that there was the missing bullets in the police gun. No murder charges at all. And it also later came out that they just racially profiled her boyfriend, meaning they said it was him because he was a Black man, but it was another Black man that they were looking for that they actually caught 2 days before, and the other Black man lived 10 miles away. They have no reason why they chose to go to Breonna Taylor's house, and they, to this day, are still trying to figure that out. But neither of them got the correct justice that they need, and when we say Black Lives Matter, that's exactly what we mean. Yeah, this happens to white people, this happens to Hispanics, this happens to Asians, but the issue is that the Black people just don't get justice like how white people do. African Americans literally built America, and it's built against them. I'm gonna start by explaining this by saying and talking about slavery. Obviously, everyone knows about slavery. Slaves were brought over here to work, to be then released, I guess, whatever agreement they had with the slave owners, the slave masters. And it obviously didn't go down like that, let me tell you. It just did not go down like that. That's not how it happened. The slave owners were terrible to the slaves. I mean, they fed black babies to alligators for alligator bait. They would rape them, kill them for no reason. They would starve them. They would do experiments on them where they would cut off limbs and like attach it to other people just to see if it would grow. They just tortured them for years. I mean, slavery lasted a couple hundred years, but eventually, on June 19th, 1865, slaves were considered free, but there were still laws put up against them. And this is when I say slaves built America, but they were built in America. America was built against them because there were laws put up that black people could not own any property. Black people couldn't marry anyone. They could only marry black people, and that was in certain states. Like some black people just could not even get married. This one is sick, but obviously sometimes they couldn't deliver babies. They would kill their kids, take their kids. It was just terrible for about 100 years, and that's when the first round of the Black Panther Party came, and they fought for injustice in America, which landed a lot of people killed, and that's where the injustice was started, because no one got justice in the 1960s. No one cared about it. Everyone just thought that black people were less than white people. And it started a very vicious cycle that I like to call the hood cycle, because it quite literally starts in the hood. Personally, growing up, you see the inner city and you see a lot of diversity, but it's mainly African Americans, Hispanics. You have some Asians. This is just where I live, though. So quite literally, it's terrible. It's hard. You start in a cycle where that's all you ever know. You're told that's all you're ever gonna know. You don't have the same opportunities because of your skin color, because of what school you go to. So you're kind of stuck there. A couple get out, but a lot end up staying in the hood. The next thing is the stereotypes against black people. This is also where they start. The stereotypes are that black people just are not good enough. They're not better, or they're not as good as any other race. And that's hard to hear, because growing up, whenever something is, again, built against you, you have no power over that. Black people don't get jobs because their hair is curly or their hair is a little bit kinky. Black people just don't get jobs because they're black. They don't think that they're smart enough or that they're qualified. And that all stems back to slavery. African Americans must fight for their rights. We have to protest to have basic human rights, and we get killed in protests. The president quite literally called black people thugs and said that they were rioting and looting, when honestly, it was just for a justice in certain cases. And the LGBTQ plus community, which is gays, lesbians, bi, transgenders, queer, and everything in between, above and below, don't get the justice at all. There are so many black trans women that are killed every single day, going missing, and no one cares. Understanding why Black Lives Matter is important for human equality. It's not just a movement, it's also a lifestyle. It's important to educate yourself and to sign petitions and do whatever you can do to help the black community.